Hey, how's it hanging guys? Chris here, bringing you another guide for one of those multiplayer guns in Battlefield Hardline's Betrayal DLC. It's going to be dedicated to the RPK-74, as I'm going to be going over all that juicy information, telling you about the weapon in a bit more detail. So the Russian-made RPK-74 was introduced to the world in 1974, hence the name. At the same time as the AK-74 assault rifle. It was the newer variant of the RPK, which was more popular in the 60s and 70s, and the RPK-74 features some modifications in both looks and the way it functioned. It was chambered for the newer 5.45x39mm high velocity cartridge, and uses a heavier chrome-plated barrel, along with several other things. Though it's not the same as the RPK-74M that we've seen in other Battlefield games in the past, as this was an updated, more modified variant that was made afterwards. And also, unlike in the previous games, the weapon isn't classified as an LMG and slotted into the support, or in this case, the Enforcer kit, but rather the Operator kit instead, as it's categorised as an assault rifle, just like the basic RPK. Though you can equip the gun on loadouts for both the cops and criminal factions, so it's not as restricted as the earlier RPK variant that we saw released back with the Robbery DLC, though it will cost you about the same amount of Battlefield cash, as it's also priced at the relatively low cost of $36,000, so it shouldn't be too hard saving up for this one. But is it worth saving up for at all? Well, it's time to go over the gun's pros, the cons, and the stuff in the middle. It's safe to say that statistically, although you might think that the gun would be a lot like the RPK, being a variant of that weapon, it's actually got a lot more in common with the AKS-74U, despite the fact that it's a carbine. The RPK-74 matches up with it quite a lot, as there's a lot of factors that they both share, or have minor tweaks in comparison. Now, probably one of the most noticeable changes and advantages that the RPK-74 has over the AKS, and most of the other operator weapons, is its huge magazine capacity. It matches the standard RPK, and allows you to carry and fire 51 bullets per magazine. This is great for mowing down large groups of enemy players, as you don't really have to worry about running out of ammo in the process. Large magazine sizes are always a huge bonus, as whilst your enemies are fumbling around, swapping magazines every few seconds, you can confidently keep the ball rolling and unload more bullets at them, instead of having to frantically dash to cover, putting yourself in a vulnerable position. Something that complements the large mag size nicely too, is the rate at which you can reload at. Although the magazines are pretty big, unlike traditional heavy magazine bearing weapons, the reload times for the RPK-74 are actually on the generous side, with a tactical reload of just 2.2 seconds and an empty reload only costing you 3 seconds of your time. This means that it's even quicker at swapping the mags than the AKS, meaning that you should almost always have bullets there to back you up when the going gets tough, and you shouldn't be getting caught out too much with those empty magazines. Another thing that the RPK-74 has that beats a lot of other assault rifles is a decent recoil pattern. With an upwards bounce of 0.37, a leftwards jump of just 0.075, and a rightwards jump of 0.15, the RPK-74 barely even has any horizontal movement, making it a fairly predictable and accurate weapon to use in combat. Its upwards kick isn't too much either, meaning the weapon is more stable than a lot of the others, and in general, the recoil here shouldn't really cause you any issues. It's actually exactly the same as the AKS-74 in this respect, apart from its vertical value, which is slightly lower on the AKS, being a value of 0.27 instead of 37. Though being an assault rifle and a variant of the RPK that's well known for dancing around a bit when you fire, it's fairly low. However, the RPK-74 does have a couple of things that aren't really worth boasting about. The first point being its low rate of fire. Shooting at a speed of 650 RPM, the RPK-74 isn't a quick gun to shoot out of those bullets. It's not the slowest of the bunch, with a couple of others firing a little bit slower, but it's definitely not far off. Its damage and range isn't exactly all that brilliant either, with a maximum damage of 24 that drops off at just 12 meters away, up to the distance of 32 meters, where that minimum damage of 12 is dealt. For an assault rifle, this is definitely on the lower side, as it matches the AKS-74U in terms of damage, which is a carbine and also has a quicker fire rate. This means that it's going to take 5 bullets up close to kill, but at range it could take a total of 9 hits to drop a target, which is definitely on the higher side for an assault rifle. Its minimum damage is also one of the worst out of the other operator guns, which all happen to fire quicker than the RPK-74 too, and so targets at range might require the extra bullet to take out. This combined with a slower rate of fire might cause the gun to kill slightly slower than you would with other guns, and at longer distances it might seem to take a little bit longer than expected to put someone down. Attachments wise, because the gun mainly moves upwards when you fire, a compensator might prove to be a good option to attach to the RPK-74. as it's going to reduce that vertical value of 0.37 down by 40% to just 0.22. It's going to increase the horizontals both left and right by 15% also, but because these figures are fairly low to begin with, it's not going to make a huge negative difference, and instead should allow you to control the weapon even easier than before. A stubby grip would also be a good option to combine with the compensator, as unlike the AKS that has a fairly low spread increase per shot, the RPK-74 has a figure of 0.3, which is a bit higher than a fair few other rifles. The stubby will eliminate this as a problem, reducing that spread increase down to just 0.15, and so should group your bullets closer together in automatic fire, making the weapon much more accurate. So anyway, overall, the RPK-74 has a lot less in common with its older brother, the standard RPK, and much more in common with its smaller cousin, the AKS-74U. It's got a fairly slow rate of fire that could prove to be a flaw when you're in a firefight with someone with a faster firing weapon like the FAMAS, though their accuracy might not be as good as yours, with the RPK-74 being a decent weapon for staying on target. And whilst they scurry off to reload their empty magazine, you can continue to fire at them with those larger magazines, laughing at them whilst you do so. Damage wise it's not great, and the lack of speed and power might put a few users off, but its steady recoil pattern, massive magazines, and quick reloads are all positive factors that are going to keep you in the action, ready to take on any situation. So that's all I've got for you in this one. Make sure you subscribe to my channel to see more Battlefield videos and loads of other stuff too. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the guide. Take it easy guys, and I'll see you in the next one.